There we go. And Logan, there's one, like, literally in Google Classroom, the one says weekly syllabus number 6, so they are all right there. If you ever can't find something on Google Classroom, let me know. Anyone have a quiz that I did not get? Bless you. Anybody put down the wallpaper?
No, I did. I like kind of guessed.
What'd you put?
Flowers.
Yeah, it's flowers.
I remember reading it, but it was just like
when he's climbing up the wall, like covering the picture and all that kind of stuff, mentions that there's flowers.
Did he get smaller?
Yeah, he had to.
You mean like Gregor so far as
Yeah.
he is not like, let's say he's a cockroach, okay, just for we don't get in that argument sake. He's not like that size by any means.
He's like
Yeah, but how do you grab onto the door with his mouth?
He is becoming and things will stay very ambiguous. Like at no point is it going to say he is 3 feet long, 2.5 feet wide, or anything like that. You certainly know he's larger than a typical bug because I mean he scares them. Number one. And also in some ways, and I'm not trying to dodge your question. In some ways, you could argue no, because if you're saying he does get smaller, then you're going he's definitely a bug. Whereas if it's like a dream mental illness thing taking place, he would still be Gregor, and maybe he thinks he's kind of getting smaller. But the size-wise, he still would be like disturbing to them. Like you saying, opening up the door with his mouth and all that kind of stuff. He does certainly seem to be getting, and for your notes, we could even kind of take a look at some reactions to him or like change preferences. Like what does he like to do now? Whether you could be talking about food or you could be talking about Adam. Okay, yeah, he likes scurrying around, so he likes crawling around and all that kind of stuff. Scurries around the room. And part of that is he's getting more comfortable, kind of like being a bug. It's like riding a bike. First couple times you're a little shaky with it. Then once you start being comfortable on 2 wheels, you just want to take off all the time. So he scurries around the room. What would be some other things?
He likes to climb up the walls.
What happens the first time he climbs up on the ceiling? Falls. Like, he moves a little bit, kind of lets go and comes down, hits his head. But then, yeah, he likes to hang on walls and the ceiling. Certainly, and besides just a change that would take place, when he gets out of the room, and mentioned that on the quiz it mentions that Father's throwing apples at him, and the apple's like lodging into him, and basically it's stuck there. And in part 3, you're going to find out that really like an infection kind of starts to take place. If it's an apple that like is lodged in him, he's still there going to be a fair size creature if you want to go to it. He's definitely bug it.
Whatever happened with like the white spots?
We don't really know. Like it was, and it could be something as simple as some days you wake up and you have a rash, and there's just like a little bit itch there, and then it goes away. We don't know. It's like just one of those little details that you assume it's a dark body, and so probably just kind of highlighting something different with them, having the little white spots that are itchy. What are other changes for him that we know about?
I said like he
Pardon?
Like you started like figuring out how to use everything.
Like just kind of getting used to his body and all that kind of stuff. Would say as he gets more comfortable with being a bug, scurrying around the room, hanging on walls, using antennas and things like that, what are like some negative changes that start to kind of take place with him, Julian? Okay, so food preferences change. What used to be like his favorite thing What's one of the first things that Greta gives to him? Milk with what's
Bread.
floating in him? Little pieces of bread, and now that's not really something that he likes anymore. What does he like? Cheese. Then moldier the better, like scraps, food, that kind of stuff. Fresh vegetables, fruit, that's not something that he's going to like. So food preferences change, more moldy, scraps, that kind of stuff. What also happens to some other human characteristics, Ben, I think you put this on your quiz so far, is something that he's losing.
Eyesight.
His eyesight is becoming a little rougher. Eyesight is worse. What does he like to look out the window? What does he see across the street from him? Logan, I think you were mentioning this one.
The hospital.
There's a hospital, and now when he looks to see the hospital, what does he kind of see?
He's losing his vision.
It's kind of becoming a little bit grayer, a little bit murkier, a little bit hazier, which again is kind of like that dream-like sequence that would kind of take place. I don't know if he does this on purpose or not. He being Franz Kafka. What do we think of a hospital as being? A place where you get better help. He can't see it, so maybe what is starting to kind of take place, the chances of him getting help might be, kind of going down. His health could be declining. Can't see the hospital. Luke, what were you going to say?
That's why I asked what time in his life.
He writes it in 1912. So the journal entries, the diary entries that we were looking at last week, like that next year. So he writes it in 1912. It gets published in 1915. He dies in 1920.
27,
I want to say 24. This one doesn't. Now, it becomes much more famous after he dies. He does have a lot of books that do get published after his death. His one friend, Max, Max got mentioned in the journals. Max is the one who started publishing a lot of things that go against Kafka's wishes. So Kafka is very, you get the sense, insecure, maybe sometimes in his ability, whether people are going to like it. And the majority of the stories, there's not always a transformation of turning into a bug, but they tend to be kind of like uneasy, uncomfortable subjects, might not be something that you necessarily always want people reading. But he dies of tuberculosis. His sister, Kafka in real life, his sister is the one who takes care of him. So it's kind of eerie that these things start to happen. He doesn't know in 1912 he's going to die of tuberculosis. I don't think he knows that his sister is going to be the one who's watching after him. But yeah, there's a lot of parallels that certainly take place. But for sure, the relationship between him and his father would be very, very, very strained at this point. And probably do feel closer to your sister, or other siblings as well. It can do a lot of things. Tuberculosis is going to start with the lungs. The problem with tuberculosis, especially at this time, like 19 teens, you have great influenza outbreaks that are taking all throughout Europe, just because sanitary conditions, easier to kind of spread diseases. So it starts off with lungs, but it also makes you then more susceptible to a lot of other illnesses and whatnot. So pneumonia could take place. Sometimes people will get tetanus when they were in the hospital. Not everything is properly sterilized and whatnot. For the most part, if you die because of tuberculosis, breathing issues and fluid in lungs. But a lot of folks could die from complications caused by tuberculosis with other stuff that would be happening. And then, also with World War I going on too, that kind of ruins the sustenance for a lot of people so far as food, sanitary conditions, housing, that kind of stuff also kind of causes some issues as well. So yeah, there's definite changes in Gregor that would be taking place here. When he wakes up, anyone take a note to like the opening part?
It said he was like in a coma-like sleep. And
Coma-like deep sleep.
So yeah, you think of this as being, deep sleep. coma doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be permanent, although, it's kind of like an extended thing. But again, and I don't want to try to, keep beating the point to death or anything like that. When I think of coma-like sleep, again, it kind of goes back, for me, dream/nightmare. As into what is that whole viewpoint of reality kind of taking place. So yeah, he is in a very kind of deep, dark, hazy. I think a lot of those dream things keep coming up.
I just don't know how keep waking up in the same dream. Like that's my argument of why.
Why it wouldn't be a dream?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I'm not going to have the answer for it. I would say a big influence. You guys familiar with Sigmund Freud?
Please pardon the interruption. Will the National Honor Society please report to the auditorium? The National Honor Society, please report to the auditorium for your photo.
You lost confidence again. Yeah, that's me. Freud, psychiatrist, psychologist, he's the one who coins the term Oedipus complex, which again we would say that Kafka was probably suffering from. You could certainly argue that Gregor would be suffering from it in some ways. There's a big movement, 1900, 1920s, where there's a lot of psychoanalysis of dreams, more importance of being placed on dreams. So with this story, you're not going to get certainty at all. I mean, with anything. But I think the whole idea that a lot of people, a lot of scholars, a lot of thinkers, and keep in mind, Kafka as a writer is a very educated man. This would be stuff that would be more common for them to kind of talk about and think about. So it would be kind of like exploring with it. I can't say personally that I recall ever having a dream where I woke up and I'm still within the dream. But again, I don't know if I remember half the dreams that I have. I know I had some kind of weird dream last night where I kept going downstairs and it just kept going and going and going and going, and then the alarm went off. So I don't know what that means. George has a look on his face like he doesn't know something.
Maybe you feel like you're not fulfilling yourself. You're just keeping going.
But Luke just keeps bringing me down.
You could probably look it up. It was like meaning for every dream.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think that the danger with it is that you do try to find maybe some meanings with, whether it be this story or others that you're never going to be able to quite get to. At the same time, I think there's enough commonalities. You talk about when he writes it, the whole point about dreams and whatnot, that there certainly would be some kind of viewpoints and ideas coming across. What would be some things that we learn for any of these, whether it be Gregor's hopes for sisters? We talked about his vision is deteriorating. Changes in behavior for Greta, or even, at the end where we kind of get the attack, changes in Mr. Samsa and Gregor's second injury. Which one of those things kind of jump out? Remember, I feel like I'm always telling us what you need to talk about.
He has like a scar on his left side.
You talking about injury from like the first? I mean, I know they bring it up in this part. You're talking about that initial one, from him getting. Well, we have two things that kind of take place when he wakes up. Because remember, if him getting kind of pushed and hit with the cane through the door, when he does wake up from that coma-like sleep.
He notices the scar.
Yeah. So you notice that number one, there's kind of that injury taking place. Specifically, what ends up being the second injury that he has. Like, he has a scar on left. Am I going to right? Maybe? There we go. What's the source of the second injury? Okay. We have the apple thrown by Mr. Samsa. What do you think of Dad's reaction to Gregor? Start pegging him with fruit. Don't go home and start throwing fruit vegetables at siblings and parents and go, we're just talking about the book, Mom.
Didn't it paralyze him too?
Yeah, like it definitely, like, I would say stuns him, not paralysis in the sense that his limbs aren't going to work anymore, but it's a significant injury that takes place. He's definitely hurt by it.
Word they used to do is like something.
What happened was like the way that he, like moved, because it said that he started walking, so.
And I would say this is kind of where you have that paralyzed, and you also have kind of like that stunned feeling. I think part of it is physical, and I would say probably part of it is mental as well. Why does Gregor's dad attack him? Scared. Thought he purposely was going after mom. Why is mom in the way that she is? Mom literally just saw him and fainted, essentially. So dad comes home. Greta tells him what's happening. Dad misunderstands and assumes that it was like malicious intent on his part. So part of that being stunned, part of that being paralyzed, number one, could be the fact that the apple's getting thrown at you. Why else could he kind of be stunned or paralyzed? Well, who's in bad shape? His mom's fainted. You know, his mom is kind of like passed out. So it could be stunned in the sense that mom is, even though she's not really hurt, but she has fainted, I'm going to put hurt up here in quotation marks, could also be stunned because what also is happening? Who's coming after you? Your own father is attacking. So I think part of that being stunned, part of that being wobbly, that part of, oh my goodness, what's going on? My mom's hurt, care about my mom. I've supported my family all these years, these last 5 years be working, and now she's hurt. Greta, she's kind of messing everything up in my room, taking all the furniture out. Now everything's kind of turning upside down. By him losing the furniture, what also does he feel like he's losing? His overall humanity. And if you are isolated, if you're lonely, which we were kind of talking about, what's part of being a human? Human-to-human contact. So if you're being treated as the pet, as the mascot, as the dirty little bug of the family, that's going to be a lot of stuff that's really going to have a toll on you.
It seems like Greta's like the only one really here for him, trying to help him eat and stuff.
Yeah, and she kind of becomes a character that is tough to follow a little bit in that Greta initially is absolutely helping him out. Feeds, sort of like tries to keep the room kind of clean and organized a little bit. At the same time, what starts to happen to her, she kind of goes from helping him to she is now the what of him. Caretaker, and I think you could even kind of go maybe in a slight negative term a little bit, where it becomes like the boss of him, or the one who kind of owns him a little bit. So kind of goes from being that caretaker to the one who has dominion over him. Term dominion, what's like the root word of dominion? Dominance, dominate. And so now she is the one who changes the furniture. She is the one who claims to know what is best for him. And I'm not trying to make it sound as if Greta is an absolute terrible person by any means. Greta is the younger sister. Greta's kind of like bottom on the totem pole. What does this do for her? It gets to take her up a little bit and become a little bit more important. Anyone recall how old she is? She's 17 years old. Because they talk about employment, she would still be too young to work, and she sleeps in and all that kind of stuff. Now she kind of gets to have a little bit of authority over someone. So there is that little bit of change that would kind of start to take place with him. But that the negative effects that start to take place, especially with the rearrangement of Gregor's room, I think Shai's right on the money. It kind of becomes symbolic of him losing his humanity. Which some people are going to go, all right, why then is he so worried about the picture? Probably because it's what?
it's his picture. You know, it's not just a picture of a sister or family. It's something that I chose. It's something that I cut. It's in a frame that I made. So that picture becomes critical to him because that is his. That's something that he actually has ownership of. So he's going to protect it more so than anything else.
We still talk.
You can head down to my office right now. Communication is not working at all. I mean, it seems like he still thinks he can talk because he's going through that whole thinking process, but he can't pretty much say anything, or they don't listen to him whatsoever.
No.
No? Okay. Why an apple? Why not like a peach, lime, potato? It's certainly a common fruit, food that would be out there, so it's certainly practical in some sense. I go the same way. You know, see people wearing red shirts. Think of the red apples. Cheap.
Hardest fruits, one of the hardest fruits.
I think of worms coming out of that.
Any symbolic value to apples?
Adam and Eve.
So which one?
That was authoritative.
Am I wrong?
No. What is the apple? What's so important about the apple with Adam and Eve?
The snake, the serpent.
It's like, but it-
Oh, if you eat it, then your whole body
Who says that the apple is forbidden? Don't touch the apple. God / Father figure.
just one apple.
What happens when Adam and Eve eat the apple?
Sin was sin.
Sin starts, now you have like original sin. And part of it also is you can no longer have all the stuff here that's in Eden. You get kicked out a little bit. I was going to kick the chair at Luke again, but it was too far away from me. Where is Gregor when the apples get thrown at him?
Oh, wait, no.
Nah, because after
He's outside of his
And then
room.
they throw it so he goes back
He's
in.
outside of his domain, and now when he's coming out kind of challenging the father figure, the authority of the whole house, of this whole area where he wants to be, the apples get thrown at him, and he ends up kind of being banished again or exiled. So there's a big argument that so far as a symbolism standpoint, the apple is significant, not only because it would be a common thing that you could see, but that there would be some references that would certainly be taking place. Certainly could go symbolic value. What's that literary term? If you are making reference to well-known person, place, or thing, you could say it's a symbolic.
not
Illusion.
Yeah, illusion could be happening. Tomorrow, you have vocabulary quiz number 4. That'll be the first thing we do. We'll still talk about some things with part number 2. Read up part number 2. So we're going to do on Friday. Yeah. No, so tomorrow, Thursday, vocab quiz number 4.
Yeah, I'm saying, why is that tomorrow?
And then because on Friday, you have a reading check quiz for part number 3. So I don't want you to have 2 quizzes going back.